Hi there, YouTube. This is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. This time my opponent chose to play as the vampires in response to my choice of the Empire. So let's take a look at the build here. Up front I have 4 spearmen, and in the center I have 3 great swords. I have 1 more spearman in reserve who I've ranked up once. 1 crossbowman, the silver bullets, and 2 Knights of the Blazing Sun. Up front, I have an Amber Wizard, General of the Empire, and an Empire Captain. And I chose to deploy back here a bit because it's against the vampires, and I assumed I was going to be able to get flying. I was going to have flying supremacy and be able to use Flock of Doom to have some fun with them. And because this would provide cover for most of my army, which would allow me to basically have some element of surprise against my opponent. As far as my opponent's build, he brings a front line of 4 skeletal warriors. Behind it he has 3 crypt horrors. Behind them he has Graveguard with great weapons times 3 and the Sternsman. He also brought 1 zombie, 1 blood knight, 1 black knight, and Mannfred von Karstein on his slick, fast little mount. And anytime you see just 1 flyer for the vampires and it's Mannfred and he's on this fast mount, you've got to be thinking Winds of Death, and that means you need to get to him before he gets to your line, or you got to make sure you don't have a line. So anyways, let's take a look at how this plays out. So right away I'm going to move forward with the flying squad, see if there's anything I'm not able to see that's over there. But you know, as far as what I could tell, his army was pretty complete, and right away I see Mannfred headed this way, which means he's probably headed up here or here, you know, to be able to do something down my line. Or actually he can't see anything except for here's the start of my line, so he probably assumes it extends there. So I'm going to send the flying squad to chase him down and try to kill him as quickly as possible. In the meantime, I do drop a Flock of Doom on both of his cavalry units here because they are some of the strongest things he has on the field. He's going to inadvertently run into the silver bullets. They're going to get a few shots at him. Then he's going to turn the angle. So when I saw it come in like this, I thought maybe he didn't have, Winds of Death. I was wrong. He does have it, and he is going to make a play for it. As soon as I see him stop here, I know he is, so I'm just trying to burst him down as quick as I can. But he does get it off. But didn't quite target it right or something, or maybe the trees impeded it, because all it affected was this 1 spearman unit. So Mannfred's extremely expensive, especially with all the things he had selected, and incredibly important to his leadership because he doesn't have any other leaders on the field. So that's just a great way on my side to start the fight. In the meantime, his crypt horrors, as they're quite quicker than the rest of his army, get out ahead of themselves, and they're going to take some missile damage. And then while he's a bit discombobulated, moving lines different ways, I'm going to charge my infantry. I was looking for his cav when I came across here. I didn't see it, so I figured he must have held it back. He did. Yeah, that's an assumption type play, not necessarily something you want to try to do regularly, but if you've played the game for a while, you get a pretty good idea for where things are at. Some more Flock of Doom action. Looks like it affected about 4 units, so it's going to get some more damage put down there. I wrap around some of my my infantry because I had the wider line. Here I just decide to overload, and then I bring my flying units into the overload because I don't see any cav around, so I figure I'm totally going to get away with this and be able to start doing what I'm doing here, which is just spiking down his front line. At the same time, I decided to bring in the Knights of the Blazing Sun for the same reason. Just put a bunch of damage in here into his guys, especially this ball of crypt horrors he has over here, 3 of them, because they can do a ton of damage if left to their own devices. At the same time, I've got, you know, my ranged units firing away into his lines, and things are looking really good for me. I keep wondering, when's this cav going to return, and I'm trying to keep an eye out for it. You'll notice I swing some of my guys in that direction, thinking maybe they're in here somewhere, but they're not. I also keep this 1 spear unit near them because I think if he brings the cavalry onto the field, he's probably going to go this way and then try to go this way, potentially. Here I send my flying squad to the left flank because I know that's as far away from his cavalry as possible. And here comes the cavalry. I'm going to tell the knights to turn around and countercharge, but they can't react quick enough. and as predicted, he comes into the silver bullets. I had already pulled these guys up to help, thinking he was going there with both of his cav. It's going to be a little late getting there, but I send the flying squad in to help out, and eventually here I'll target my missiles appropriately. You can see another flock of doom comes down because he just keeps, had all this action all in one place, so why not target there? I also have both of my Knights of the Blazing Sun working on his Blood Knights now. That's a tough fight for them, especially considering how much health he still has on the Blood Knight. Back here, the Black Knights try to push through and get all the way over here, but they're not nearly as powerful as the Blood Knights, so we're dealing with them the best we can. He's going to rear charge my infantry, but he is going to run into quite a few spears, which are going to do a pretty good job. As far as cost worthiness against the Blood Knights, my cavalry returns, so his runs off, and I decide instead of chasing them, why not slam right into this Crypt Horror over here. It's the last one he has on the right. He's going to charge in with the Blood Knights over here. I'm going to cast Flock of Doom because that's the biggest concentration of troops he has on the map. In the meantime, I'm getting my missiles sorted, and we've finished off the Black Knights, so now we're free to pursue the Blood Knights. They've taken considerable damage at this point. They're going to eat a flying charge here, which is going to do pretty good damage to them as well. And this is really the last thing on the field I'm worried about. My infantry is held up more than long enough. My cavalry is, hurt enough of his units and whatnot that I figure if I get rid of the Blood Knights, it's going to be in the bag. And it's even more so than I imagined because the rest of his army immediately melts away after the Blood Knights get dropped, and we get a close victory for the Empire. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The Great Swords absolutely demolished his front line of skeletons very quickly and got into the second and third level of his infantry, so they were quite good. The Spearmen did fine. For the price, if you get 18-20 kills and they stick around with that much health, you won. That's a great thing. Knights of the Blazing Sun, kind of disappointing. I haven't used them a lot, and I'm not used to using the Empire against the vampires, so I definitely feel like there's potential there to do a lot better. I just have to learn how to play them better, so this was probably what we'll call our micro mistake of the day. Our range did fine, especially considering they spent a lot of time firing at cavalry, which is, and at Mannfred as far as the silver bullets, and somewhat from the crossbowmen, so I'm fine with that. Flying squad did well. Flock of Doom was awesome as always, so overall really pleased with the army and the composition. Looking at my opponent's army, the skeletons got absolutely ripped apart, as did the zombies. The Graveguard with great weapons, just not quite enough kill. Yeah, especially considering I brought 949 guys. You need a much better result out of them. The Sternsmen were great, and they almost always are. This unit is just so good. There's something about the combination of abilities and stats. It just works so damn well. The Black Knights and the Blood Knights caused a lot of harassment and stress, but not a lot of kills. And the Crypt Horrors, definitely a little disappointing too. So my opponent, good game to my opponent. I just think his army got a little overwhelmed. I think this composition's very good for dealing with a standard vampire build. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Until the next time, this is the Magnus, and I'll see you on the ladder.